Man, it's been a while since I played with that intro. Ciao ragazzi, my name is Anthony. Welcome along to Inter Worldwide. This is a fantastic video today because whenever you cross enemy lines in the English-speaking culture world, it's always, I consider it more fun than when I speak with fans of the own colors, to be honest. And I'm with two gentlemen today from the best source of Juventini content that you can get. If you're going to get it from anyone, as I always say, you're going to get it from Berto and his boys at the Alljuvecast. And I'm here with Alberto and one of his frontmen, hedgemen, capos, whatever you want to call it. But Joe Cappuccino is here as well. Gentlemen, it's so good to have you before this debut.
Oh, it's awesome to be here, man. Thanks for the invite. And I'm glad my man Joe could join me. I love jumping in the snake pit with you, Ant. You know that. I love it.
Oh, snake pit. I like that.
It's good
very
fun, man.
Now.
It's like I got this morning when I woke up to message you, Berto, about the time. I actually had my times completely wrong. I thought we were kicking off on Sunday in Sydney, Saturday your time, but it's actually Monday morning, and that's better for me because the way that this game kicks off is that I get to not pay attention to it too much in the morning because my Mondays where I work are just hell, and I will be on the road ready to go to work thinking about all the drama that's about to cause there. And I'm just so nervous and pessimistic about this game that I was ready and convinced that my Sunday was a write-off completely. I had already canceled my plans and just planned to stay home with my dog and everything. But it looks like Sunday will breathe another day this year, but Monday we'll cross that when we get there. But before we go into what's going to be an absolute deadly Derby d'Italia, and I can't wait to speak about it with these two guys, couple of housekeeping. First, we've got a competition at the moment. We've got about 17 people that have commented their predictions for the game. The way to enter, head over to our Twitter and subscribe to Inter Worldwide. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel and comment your prediction for the Derby d'Italia anywhere, whether it's on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. I'm keeping tabs of all of them. And the only way you can win is if you correctly guess a winning score with the goal scorers. I had someone predict 1-0 with a Vlahovic goal. In what world do you think I'm sending free merchandise if we lose this game? That's not going to happen. So that's the trade-off, man. I'll send something out if we're able to get that win. So that's how you can enter that competition. Also, make sure you head across to Serie A Fantasy, who have sponsored this video as well. League code is up there. We've got 74 members on our league. This was the dream team for last week. Berto and Joe, Vlahovic was scoring a lot of points for me at Fiorentina. What's the go? What's the go, man? What's the drive with the points, Allegri? Come on, Max. Some people need fantasy points up in here.
It's coming. It's coming.
It has to.
To be fair, Vlahovic has missed
some
crucial opportunities.
Yeah, he really has.
In Fantacalcio, those are killers. He's got to put those away. Come on.
100%. Guys, as I said, make sure you head over to the Alljuvecast where Berto and his gang do some absolutely amazing stuff, and especially if you're looking to get your information about the other boys on the block, there's no other better way to do it than to hear it from the fans who bleed it the most, because you're going to get unbiased. You're going to get it from all ends and all sides, and his guests are fantastic as well. And there he is, so good looking, more good looking than I am, Berto.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely love it. All right, before we head off to predicted lineups, I'm just going to remove the slideshow for a second. Gentlemen, initial thoughts going into this game. A resurgence under Allegri as of recently. I'm sure the general consensus, off camera, we were just talking about Italy's failures at the World Cup. Not only that, no team passed the round of 16 in the Champions League. The general consensus, I speak with everybody, it's a rat race to see which undeserving side can lift a title this season. And I'm sure everyone's going to claw for everything up until the last game of the season as well. So initial thoughts coming into this one. I'll start with you, Berto.
Oh, man. It really is a match of just question marks all over the place. If I look at you guys and I look at your current record, a lot of question marks, like goal scoring and whatnot. Obviously, you had the blast against Salernitana, but outside of that, the goals aren't coming. And I think it's one win out of the past 5. I think might be
right. 2 and 8. I think it is.
As far as Juve goes, I've said it all along for a while here. We're in the mix. We're in striking distance, but the hashtag for this season would have to be "Don't ask how." Okay, because honestly, it feels like that from game to game. It's like you watch it and it's like, okay, yeah, we're making some progress. We'll take that next step, but then it's like it just doesn't amount to anything. And I still feel that we'll go over it when you get into the lineups. I see a huge, huge lack of balance in Juve's roster, and I don't see it being corrected even when some of the top guns are out there. So there's There's just some issues there. And Max doesn't do himself some favors. So that's one of the biggest question marks in this one for me. I've seen the projected for the midfield, and I'm worried about it. But we'll get into that when you get into the lineups.
We definitely will. Joe, your thoughts coming into this one, man? Last time we played you guys 1-1 at the San Siro, a bit of a phantom penalty, as I like to call it. But this season, everyone's been telling me calls have been inconsistent all season. I would say they've been consistently shit from match day 1 up until now for every single team in the league. So deserved result in the last leg. How do you see this one going in Turin, man?
Honestly, it all depends on which Juventus decides to show up this weekend. I feel like we are definitely on a tear, but as Al said, I have no idea how we've been getting some of these results. I don't think that we have not been anywhere near what we should be. We are in the mix for sure. This is going to be a big match, but honestly, these kinds of ties can go either way. So we really just need to see what both teams deliver on game day.
Absolutely. I'm sure one eye for both of us is also on the Napoli-Atalanta game as well. That's how quickly the tide could shift at all ends of the top 4 to 5 this weekend. So all eyes on this game. So thank you everybody for coming into the chat. We got Lashton, Trevor, Akil, Antos here as well, White Suburban Kid, and Chris DeSantis bringing his Roman propaganda for you, Joe Cappuccino, today. Good stuff. Let's go into the predicted lineups. Berto said he's a little worried about the midfield. I'd say it's still looking fairly solid, apart from Rabiot. I hate Rabiot, always have hated him before he came to Juventus. We'll hate him long after he's gone after Juventus. Trust me, this is one player where it's actually not a Juve thing at all. It's a Rabiot thing for me. And I just think he's a massive liability as well, where I want to personally, when I look at that, I think who's going to be tracking Marcelo Brozovic in this particular situation, because we'll get to my lineup next, but he's rumored to be coming back after missing a few games on the sideline. He also didn't travel for international duty, and he's just penned a new contract as well. So we'd like to think after missing Brozovic, which is like the ticker in our engine, he's going to supposedly have a good game. Rabiot will not be able to mark him. It's got to be Locatelli or Zakaria. So, Berto, I'll go over to you first. Looking at your lineup, how are you feeling? As much as I like Chiellini and love Chiellini, I think that putting him in for this game might be a little bit of a tricky situation. I know he knows the gravity of the game, and I know he's definitely got the performance in him, but I just think after being shaken up out of that World Cup game as well, it might be a little tough bringing him into this one. But what do you think, bro?
As far as Chiellini goes, I don't have a lot of concerns with him ever in terms of performance. I have concerns with him more in fitness. At his age and stuff right now. But as far as performance goes, I'm always pretty confident and comfortable in Chiellini. Rabiot blows me away that this guy is just a lock in every single game day, man. It's killing me. So I look at this midfield, and I mean, for the most part, you're right, Anthony. It's like you got Locatelli. Zakaria seems to be making his way back, which will be a big boost, whatnot. But that left side has nothing. It has nothing. It will be dead in its tracks with De Sciglio and Rabiot. And that's the thing, is we are going to be so dependent on the right side, like we have been in, I don't know how many of our past matches where we've established this Danilo Cuadrado right side. We've literally just played down that entire wing. In Champions League, we got burnt by it because Villarreal took away the entire right side and went man-to-man on the left. And it was De Sciglio and Rabiot never able or willing to take on a guy 1v1, and you get burnt. Our left side's going to be a problem. Locatelli can play anywhere across the middle of the pitch, but is that the most valuable spot for him for us when you talk about the lack of balance on the left side? So it remains that question mark. A lot of Juventini are frustrated with Artur. They don't like it, but it's a way to get Locatelli freed up to help us more in support. And I would honestly rather see him on the left side of the mid just to offer a little bit of help. Dybala and Vlahovic, it's going to be, you don't have anybody on the left that can win a 1v1 or take somebody on. So I don't know, maybe split it up with Morata and go a traditional 4-3-3. I don't know, but it's hard to say take Dybala out, but there's a lot going on in Dybala's world and the whole Juve thing, and it's going to be weird. But he's a pro. He's got to step up, and he has to be clutch for us coming down the wire. That's why I thought the timing of that whole scenario was very, very interesting. But those are some of my concerns with the lineup and how I think we're going to maybe have issues on the left side.
Yeah, nice one, man. Thanks for that. I caught a lot of your content around about the 24 to 48 hours as the Dybala BS was breaking, man. I think I actually caught the video where you guys pretty much had it on your screen as it was getting announced.
Oh, dude, it was wild.
That's something I don't have the luxury of over here. For me, it's always first thing in the morning when I wake up, and I'm an early riser, 5:30 in the morning. So I start my days with real shitty news more often than not as an Inter fan waking up in the morning. But you guys actually caught that breaking live.
Oh man, and for people, even, the Inter fans and whatnot, you go find that video. It's hilarious because my man Raf that was with me literally froze. He broke down. He was just like
had no for a little bit as well.
Oh man, I'm like, dude, we're live here. We got to keep rolling here. We got to just go with it. And he was done. And Anthony jumped on. Our boy Anthony jumped on out of nowhere, and then he was like, oh man. He's like, Raf was just lost. And then it just turned into a swearing rant. He was choked. But yeah, it's interesting when you get breaking stuff like that live on the spot. It's that was a tough one to figure out because we all expected him to sign.
Yeah,
so, we really did.
We'll get to that a little bit after we predict the outcome of this match here. But Joe, your thoughts on your predicted lineup? Where do you think you'll struggle, or where do you think you might be able to take the edge?
I mean, I think Al was incredibly thorough with his analysis. We can all stare at the giant gaping hole in the midfield that is Rabiot. He will be the biggest weak spot there. That left side, you could put Sandro there, you could put whoever there. That left side is going to not be good at all unless Deschilio has the greatest game of his life, which I don't know. He seems to be one of those players that Allegri can get the most out of. But even despite that, I think that with Rabiot on that side, not a whole lot's going to be coming from that side. Like Al said, a lot of it's going to be trying to come down the right. And if Inter play their cards right, they can shut that down really quick. Sometimes Cuadrado's even decision making can lead to a lot of errors. I feel like he's can be good. He's one of those players that's just incredibly frustrating because he can be very good on his day or he can be terrible. So yeah, I think I don't have much to add to Al's analysis. I think that he kind of, just judging by what we're seeing here, he kind of went through everything. We really need to see a Vlahovic goal. We really need to see him get those opportunities. I'm just not sure that we're going to be able to give him the service that he needs from this lineup.
It'll be a tight one. We've got 14 people here joining us on Inter Worldwide. Thank you very much. Like the video, comments. If you are new, let us know where you are from and subscribe as well. This is a question for you boys because I'm not 100% sure when he's coming back. When is Alexandro coming back? And
he's actually fit.
He's fit. Fine. He's just out of favor.
Oh yeah, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
I think
rightfully
that
guy's
trying to sell him.
I'm still. Yeah. I have nightmares every now and then about that offer that came 2 seasons back that we said no to. That was like 60 million euros.
Was that from Chelsea?
Yeah. It's like, pull the trigger. Pull the trigger.
They should have done it.
Yeah. Do you think was it pretty much game set match for him? The Alexis Sanchez goal in the Super Copa, was that like the nail in the coffin?
Oh my god.
Oh no.
I've been.
It was well before that, was it?
Well before that. I have a whole agenda. I've had a whole agenda against Alexandro since like the start of the season. But
that guy runs like he's pulling a freight truck. It's unbelievable. Like he barely moves. He comes into a game. I can't remember what game it was. This was seasons ago, maybe 2 seasons ago. It's like watching this game. He's the substitute. He comes in and it's like we're down a goal and he gets the ball and he's literally walking with it and just going back to the key. He's got the flank to run down, bomb down. He just walks about slowly, pass it all the way back. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he does that constantly. There's nothing there. There's nothing left with this guy. We ran, to be fair, we ran him right into the ground because he played 2 seasons with absolutely no backup. And that was following his big season, which I think was 15-16. And then we just ran him right into the ground. That summer where we had Spinazzola and Cancelo, and we sold both and literally left Sandro with like no support.
Nobody.
Just ran him ragged. It was crazy to me to get rid of both fullbacks and not keep one around.
Yeah, fair call, man. Fair call. Let's go over to our lineup. Adam, my boy from Melbourne, says match will be won in the middle of the park. Barella owes Inter fans a big game performance. He definitely does. So here's our predicted lineup here. We're just going to go and assume that Stefan de Vrij, who's missed close to 2 months now, is going to still pretty much be on the sideline for this one as a precaution. So I'm glad to see Danilo D'Ambrosio as the one chosen to come in to take that spot, because we've experimented a little bit with Andrea Ranocchia again this season. And as you'd expect, unless you're paying him in some sort of Coppa Italia round of 16 or some sort of Europa League game, it's just not good enough, man. And it never will be good enough. So D'Ambrosio is one of those players that isn't going to give you much, but just might be able to come up clutch in a game where you sort of need something out of the blue. And yeah, I'm glad that he's the one to take there. Other than that, Bastoni and Skriniar take the pitch as well. Skriniar probably with the job to pocket Vlahovic as well as he possibly can. Brozovic returns to the midfield, which will be a huge relief off the shoulders of Nico Barella and Hakan as well. They make up the three-man midfield. This is where it goes a little bit south for me in the predicted lineup. I don't know why and as these gentlemen have just pointed out, I have no need to point it out, the weaknesses in Juventus's left-hand side. Why do you not start Denzel Dumfries and absolute exploit that to the brick shithouse? That's exactly what I would be doing. So I'm really hoping that this is more so of just a glitch in our predicted lineup and that Matteo Darmian doesn't start. Once again, nothing against Darmian. I'm a big fan of Matty Dams because we signed him for 1.5 million and he was just really, really good under Antonio Conte, where those small pieces of the puzzle fit perfectly with very little risk and maximum reward. But in this particular game, as Sir Berto and Sir Joe very nicely pointed out, the left-hand side is not going to present as much of a threat as the right, or as much as past left-hand sides in the Juventus lineup would have presented. So for me personally, you've got to sit Matteo Dams on the bench and start Denzel Dumfries because he's just in better form. This weird little thing with Inzaghi where he refuses to drop Edin Dzeko or refuses to mix up our front two partnership is annoying. But at the same time, we're at the point of the season where he's not really going to play Correa next to Martinez because Correa might not be as fit, although he did turn out 65 minutes for Argentina against Venezuela midweek. I still think that maybe Alexis Sanchez would be good to get a nod in the start here, but he's always better off the bench. So Inter's got this weird sort of situation, gentlemen, where on paper, Lautaro, Edin Dzeko, Joaquin Correa, Alexis Sanchez, you'd think, man, you guys have got nothing to complain about. You got 4 shoo-ins as attackers, but the reality of the situation is that Alexis Sanchez is only good pretty much clutchly off the bench, and he costs a lot in wages. And then, for every 1 or 2 games he performs well, there's usually a few dud games that come afterwards. And for the wage that you're paying him, he can't be considered a front man for much longer going past this season. Same with Edin Dzeko. We saw him at Roma. I'm sure you guys did as well. Need at least 5 to 7 chances a game to put one away. Well, he's starting to need double digits for us to put them away. Misses the easy ones and then comes up out of nowhere to score some pretty good goals. But once again, going past this season, can't be guaranteed. Joaquin Correa, the only reason we've actually made him permanent is that because there was a clause in the transfer where if it hits late January, early February, and he's played X amount of games, we now need to pay Lazio. And we did. Overall, it was 28.9 million euros that we ended up paying Lazio for Joaquin Correa, which actually isn't the worst deal in the world, but it's a little bit more than we want to have spent on a player that hasn't fulfilled that in his minutes and in his goals and in his output this season. Lautaro Martinez, the player that was supposed to pick up some of the slack that Lukaku left off. He's expected to make that transition from a second striker into the lead striker, and it has not happened. I was not gassed up when he got his hat-trick against Salernitana because I thought this is just stat padding to the first, second, and third degree. And I've been very disappointed in him to the point where I don't like to see good players leave the club. I don't even like to see good players with a lot of potential leave the club. But in this sort of economic climate and with our finances not being great, I have absolutely no doubt this player can still fetch us 60, 70 million euros in this market because ain't nobody cares about what he's doing in Serie A if you're still scoring in the Champions League. And for Argentina, that's not me talking. That's the English clubs talking, the Spanish clubs talking, everybody else is talking. So Martinez's lack of form for Inter has hurt us, the fans, in Serie A. But he's been able to put in some important goals in the Champions League that really suit the highlight reel, like his one against Real Madrid, Barcelona, Dortmund, and now Liverpool as well. And he's loved to score for Argentina. To make a long story short, gentlemen, I was just giving you guys an update of where we stand on all our players at the moment and how we think about them. But I'm really, really curious to hear your thoughts. So, Berto, well, how do you think the threats will come about this weekend, but also more so this season because we haven't linked up much? What have been your thoughts on the Inter players so far this season, man? Match day 31.
Man, well, it's like Barella. I've had some, discussions about Barella, and I was like, he's very understandably protected by many Inter fans. So it's like I got to tread lightly when I talk about Barella, but I've just felt he's been off for a while because I noticed even with the Azzurri too, like even really this dates back to the Euros for Barella, and I don't know. I think he's a solid midfielder, super dynamic and stuff, but like he's off. I would love for you guys to start Darmian, so I hope that is in fact true. I think this is going to be interesting because we're both going to be attacking from the same flank by the looks of it, and that's going to be like very, very interesting in how this thing plays out, because you don't see many matches go back and forth. I think what's going to be our killer is we've gone a little more tipping the scale to the physical side in the midfield over the technical side. So I think that's going to be advantage you guys. And I think Juve is going to be playing without possession again, unfortunately. But it's interesting hearing you guys talk about these players and whatnot. As far as I agree with everything you said, and I kind of feel the same. It's funny because Cliff, our boy Cliff, runs our Serie A coverage, which is stoppage time, and he does a buy it or sell segment. And some of these guys were on there for Inter, and it's interesting hearing even just outside of Inter fans and what their thoughts are. And everybody seems to be saying the same thing with Lautaro. It would be one that you'd have to really, really consider because of what he could draw. And I totally agree with you as far as numbers. It would be up around that range, and it would be hard to pass that up. So it's interesting.
The thing is, like when you go from losing Antonio Conte, Oriali, your assistant manager, Pintus, your head of fitness, who's the best in the world at his job, by the way. Everybody knows that guy walked headfirst into the Madrid job about 5 minutes after he decided to leave Inter. And if you've seen some video, I watch a lot of videos on Real Madrid, the chemistry that he has with players around the club, unparalleled. You go on to lose Romelu Lukaku, Achraf Hakimi, and of course the Christian Eriksen incident as well. The way the Inter fans are feeling at the moment is that, well, if Lautaro Martinez fell as the next domino for 70 million, would it really be that much worse compiled on what has already gone on, considering we would then use those funds to strengthen the squad? As I said, he's starting to look extremely replaceable. And that's the last thing you want to look like as a striker, because once you fall into that category as a striker of looking replaceable, you need to score your way out of it. And for Martinez to score his way out of it, it's going to be very, very tough from here on to the end of the season. So we'll see what happens. But we as Inter fans have already come to the terms with we're going to have to sell somebody. And it definitely can't be Barella just yet. It definitely can't be Bastoni or Skriniar. So it just might need to be Martinez. Mr. Cappuccino, sir, I'm sure I'm sure there are ways that you think your Juventus side can get around this bunch of boys. But where do you think the biggest threats are going to come from our end?
From your end, honestly, it's that midfield three. I mean, yeah, sure. I think that somebody had said earlier that Barella owes a big game performance, and I think that that's very true. And this could very well be that game. We don't know. Çalhanoğlu, I feel like he's been Inzaghi's guy. You know, he could probably shoot a kebab rocket right into the corner. We don't know. But it's going to be a battle of the midfields, and you guys definitely have the edge in that department. So, yeah that's where a lot of the threat will come from.
The Hakan opinion definitely divides a lot of fans because of all the banter that comes from the Milan fans about, us taking their trash and whatnot. But, they did give us one of their starters, but pretty willingly for free. And no one expected him to set the league on fire. But I would give his performance in between a 6.5 and a 7 out of 10 for us this season, considering how many games he's had to play without Brozovic there as the regista as well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. There's still a lot to be decided until the end of the season now. So let's do the painful part. And I'm going to go first because I don't want the gentleman to have that bad responsibility. But the predictions part of this, it's always rough. I think Allegri is more than happy to see this game stay at 0-0 for as long as possible. And Inzaghi is a coward. There's no other way to say it. I like him. I think he was the right man to take over from Conte systematically, tactically. I still think he can win a title with Inter, but he needs to go through adversity the same way that he's just gone through February to make him stronger. Now I'm really keen to see how he comes out of this, because the expectations at Inter are not the expectations at Lazio. You can go through a rough patch at Lazio and not worry too long. Eventually, you'll come out of it. Here, you approach February in a very advantageous position. You drop the ball completely. It's okay. It's understandable. It happens. It's not easy to go to Anfield. It's not easy to play Liverpool. It's not easy to throw a derby in Milan against Milan in between that mix. Games against Roma as well. And Napoli, it was a tough run against Sassuolo. But now he's got a chance to prove himself by going for this game aggressively. You've got Brozovic back now, which means he can sit a little bit deeper in front of the back three, and you can allow Barella and Hakan to advance a little bit more. I expect Inzaghi to go for it more than Allegri, but at the same time, he's still a bit of a coward in my eyes. I reckon both of these coaches would chomp at a point if you offered it to them at the moment. And that's shit, because I was thinking just before we did this video, this really is do or die for both of us if it comes down to the Scudetto. If Juve wins this game, you're in the Scudetto race, we're out. If we win this game, we're in the Scudetto race, you're out. If we draw this game, we're both fucking out. And that's pretty much the reality of it, because I know Napoli might drop points, but I'm no longer on this Milan will eventually drop points bandwagon, because I'm sick of it, to be honest. They almost went neck and neck with us all the way last season, and here they are still being able to grind out results. So if you want the title, one of these managers is going to have to grab this game by the balls and go for it. Berto, oh no, I said I'd go first. That sucks as well. I'll go 1-1. 1-1, but both goals come in the second half. Berto, what about you?
So I'm thinking 1-1 too. I feel when I look at this game, I'm like, I feel draw, but I have a feeling, what's a Derby d'Italia without a little bit of spice and a little bit of controversy? So I think some team's going to win 2-1 controversially, and I'm not going to say which one, but I just have a feeling one of these teams is going to pull the 3 points. But I agree with you on the coaching thing, and I just don't think, when I look at Juve, like, I want to just go out and name the team, but I don't know. I just I'm not seeing the firepower to offer enough problems to Inter with our shape and our guys we have there. I see it way too unbalanced going down the right. Quadrado, he might.
What's your thoughts on Quadrado?
Opportunities, but if you guys shut him down enough, he's going to be settling for crosses. And are we going to cross the ball into Dybala? No, it's going to be just Vlahovic trying to deal with D'Ambrosio and Skriniar or whatnot in aerials, and really not a whole lot of support, because Zakaria, he'll get in there, but who else? Rabiot's not going to score. Okay. Allegri's like, when Allegri was saying 10 goals this season from one of his midfielders and kept going with Rabiot, I'm like, you have to wait 10 years for 10 goals from Rabiot. Okay. It's not coming in one season. De Sciglio, is he going to do what he did against Roma? Is Chris DeSantis still in here? Remember that one? I'm not banking on it. So it's gonna be tough for Juve. I see a tight game, but maybe we see a little controversy.
I was going to ask before I go to Joe, but both of you chime in on this one. What's the go with Quadrado? Has he signed a new deal with you guys? How long is he with you guys still?
He's very close.
Very
close. I think that he even posted something on Instagram. It was like, the little signing emoji. So
it's term. I think the fees have been agreed on. It's like 2 and an option, and I think Quad's pushing for like a solid 3, like locked. Okay. And I'm like, come on, man. Even 2 is like
pushing it.
Give him 1 and an option or something. And this is, I don't know. I have so many feelings about this, and just young guys that wait to get in and just moving on and turning the page. And it's just like, at what point are you just hanging on too long? But right now, if you look at Juve and their list, I think right now that's what's protecting Quadrado. Utility guy that could play, up and down the right side. You can count on him in any match. You got to look elsewhere. You got to look at some of the other problems. You got to look at, an upcoming center back, because Chiellini's probably done after this year. I know we have Gatti. I'm still not sold on what everybody's saying, that he's 100% for Juve and they're not going to try to swing him for Bremer. I'm still not 100% sold. I know Inter's very, very close to Bremer, apparently. There were some saying that you guys have the personal agreements already. I still see a lot of things up in the air, but you need that. We still need an attack-minded midfielder desperately.
Yeah.
And you need some backup up top. We need wingers, man. We need like
Yeah.
an out-and-out winger. Again, you cannot go into another season without somebody that can attack the left side to balance it out. So you got Quad on the right. He can win 1v1s. You have absolutely nobody on the left side that creates any threat. Every single team mans up 1v1 on the left side, and they're allowed to do so with the guys we have. So
Yeah.
we've got way too many other things to deal with. Quadrado's not an issue right now.
Yeah, fair call. Joe, how do you think the game's going to go, man? What's your prediction?
So my knee-jerk reaction is that it could very well be another Supercoppa repeat. I think that maybe Juventus will try and burn some energy in the first half, like really try and go for it. We'll see. And then I think that Inter will probably slowly come into the game, get more possession inevitably. And then it'll just be, Juve sitting back, letting Inter try and unlock the defense the second half. The game screams a draw to me. I hate trying to echo what both of you are saying, but it really just, it screams draw. I can't get my head around that.
Yeah. Before we go into talk a little bit about Dybala and also just a little bit Mercato-wise, and then I'll let you gentlemen head off in a few minutes. This is a very important question I wanted to ask as well, and I'm glad Hoyan brought it up. What are the thoughts with Pogba? Because I know this one divides Juve Twitter and the Juve forums big time. Some people are really hanging on to that with nostalgia. And look, I'll just admit right now, I watch a lot of Premier League and I take a bit of an extra interest in Manchester United, but he's just nowhere near the player that departed Turin for Manchester. Now, he would inject an element of quality into your side that's not there yet. That's 100% sure. But is this guy willing to, because I just read this morning that Manchester United might make one last-ditch attempt to tie him down to another contract. He's already on something stupid like 370 bags a week or something like that, which is absolutely incredible. I know Juve would ask for a pay cut, but how are you gentlemen feeling about that? Joe looks more passionate about it, so he gets to talk about it first.
I mean, I always go back to that one quote that he said. He was like, Turin was a vacation. Well, did he actually mean that? Probably not. I mean, I'll take that with a grain of salt. But still, if I agree with what you said, would he inject that little bit of quality to that midfield? Oh, yeah, definitely. Like you take Rabiot out of there and you put Pogba in there, it's automatically better. But just his wages alone, is he going to be willing to take that a significant pay cut in order to bring him in? And like you said, Anthony, he's not anywhere near the same player that he was when he was in Turin. He's just not. Could he still come up with a magical moment and a goal or something like that, an assist? Yeah, I'm sure he can. But for me, that boat has sailed.
Yeah. Berto, over to you, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Mercato to finish off.
Joey. Come on. Don't worry about the vacation talk, whatever. He was a kid, man. Come on. So here's the thing with Monsieur Pogba, okay? He just needs to come back, okay? He needs to come back and he'll pick up right. He's not happy where he is, man. It rains too much over there, man. Come back.
Food is awful.
Here's the thing. He's not my top choice. He isn't by any means. The financial side of things, what's actually being rumored out there is quite a bit. It's quite a bit. My number one would be Milinkovic-Savic right now. If there's any way to swing that, I think Juve, that's the ideal prototype of the midfielder that we need currently to help. And you'd have a pretty solid unit when you factor in Zakiri on one side, Milinkovic-Savic on another, Locatelli being Regista. That's solid. Pogba, I believe. So Paolo Nomolo is this Facebook character that only deals with Juventus, okay? And he's got incredible ties because this guy puts out stuff that is out 3 weeks prior to the top dogs in terms of Juventus journalism. And he's been so spot on for like 2 seasons now. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. He said, and we did it on our drop. This was probably a month and a half ago, Joe, or 2 months. Paul Pogba had Juve's offer. It was the first offer he received, and it was 9.5 with bonuses that take him close to where he's at currently, but they're all incentive driven. And that was the first offer that he officially received. The latest rumors now coming out are that Juve's even in the mix at 15 million euro, but I don't believe that. I think it's that 9.5 they probably would have given him, and then all bonus. That makes sense because of the structure that they're given all these other guys and all these other deals that you currently hear Juventus working on. So if that was the case, I mean, and we did end up going with Pogba, say you can't get Milinkovic-Savic, say Gravenberch ends up at Bayern, whatnot, say all these other options go and you get Pogba, we can't seriously complain about that. Like, in my personal opinion, we've been watching Rabiot game in, game out. And if you want to bitch and moan about Paul Pogba coming into this team, I can't say anything about that, man. I just I can't do it. Like, I would gladly take him over watching the other French guy for every single match, man. But he's not my top choice.
Fair enough. The thing is, with your top choice, it's hard enough getting Lotito to talk to you guys, let alone Maurizio Sarri giving up his number one gem. Like if you guys could pull that off and convincing them, like Agnelli's got something up his ass that even
players will, man. Now Juve just seems to be bypassing everybody. Just players will get the players will.
Yeah, pretty much, man. In terms of players' his will not be done. Paulo Dybala is out of the Juventus project, and I've got two very honest Juventini on my panel here today, which means I have to get their opinions. Him going is not the worst thing in the world. Him leaving for free, I think, is just really bad management from the board and the management in the background. Like, people have criticized Inter a lot for letting their players go, but I just remind them, we pocketed 200 million euros for 2 players. And if we do lose Stefan de Vrij in this offseason, best believe we'll get 25 for him and we'll get 70 for Lautaro as well. So we're getting those bare minimum things done there. For me personally, as long as this guy leaves the country, you guys can save face. I don't see why he wouldn't. I'm pretty sure, like, in my opinion, he's going to Barcelona because what's going on with their structure at the moment screams what's going on here. And we talk about players' will. That lure of the Barcelona badge is like the Midas touch of gold. These players will negotiate bullshit contracts with their current club and try and get other suitors. And then Barcelona come along with this ridiculous low ball offer, and they catch the first private jet there midway through the season. Title race and all, Frank Kessier. No talks with Milan. Wants a pay rise to go to Inter, pay rise to go to Juve. I'll take a cut and go to Barcelona. It's all good. Adama Traore from, the Premier League. He took something like a 65% pay cut from Wolves to go over there. Pierre Aubameyang getting paid 300k a week at Arsenal, doesn't even turn up to training. And now he's scoring goals in 6 straight games for Xavi on 40% salary as well. In my opinion, Dybala could be the next one at the Camp Nou. That or Atletico Madrid. The biggest cardinal sin of all time, and I'll take a couple days off work and I'll get you guys, I'll get Lex from your channel, I'll get a journalist that probably I could never gotten before, is if he ends up in our colors at the end of the season. And that's just 4D chess from Marotta without really thinking about the end game. But who would give a shit about the end game? It would be all about the bumpy ride after that. But I've done enough talking for now. Berto, your thoughts on the entire deal and Dybala being the first piece in the project to pretty much be shifted to the side?
It's wild, man. There's so many layers to it. There's so many layers to it when you try and look at this whole thing. This is not a one season scenario. This has been going on for years. Like Paratici tried to push him out. He's been trying to get an extension for a while. Paratici tried to push Dybala out to Tottenham, Manchester United. There was that swap deal for Lukaku that Dybala shut all that down to stay at Juve. He won MVP that one season with Cristiano there, and there was talks about the contract extension, and Juve still withheld and wasn't able at that point. Then he started to get into injury troubles. This season, man, I keep saying this, it became just a battle of Juve and his agent. is what it seemed like. And Paulo seems to be the one losing out on this because he chose poor representation, because that's what it just seems like to me. He had offers earlier. His agent pushed. They actually went. There was a meeting where they went to put pen to paper. And that's when Jorge Antun, his agent, asked for more and wanted a change. That is terrible. And it so backfired on him in the worst possible way, because immediately after, Dybala gets injured. And then he comes back for a game, gets injured again. Killed any opportunity. I agree with you, though. It's tough to look at it and think, why is Juve not at least renewing and then trying to work out a deal where he goes? But the problem is that they might still get stuck that way. So it seems like they're just willing to bite the bullet and chalk up their losses and say we're going to move on, because if we sign this extension or whatnot and we can't move them, then we've buried that into them. And if they want to go a different route, if it is injury concerns and whatnot, then it is what it is. I just see a relationship that's broken, and that would probably be the ultimate motive, to cut your losses and not worry about the financials. That's just how I see it. It sucks. It really, really does suck.
It's a shame, because this is the industry where it can go from all potential, everything being okay, to just going all the way down. And then you have nothing left to do, Alberto, but to say, oh, well, done, cut your losses, move on. It's blood sport, this real thing that goes on around here. Joe, what are your thoughts on the entire ordeal, man? And how are you feeling about him departing? Where do you think he's going to go?
Well, I'll answer that question first. I think I agree. I think that he's going to go abroad. I see him at Atletico, but Barcelona is definitely not out of the mix. I think that Luis Suarez has reached the end of his rope at Atletico, and I think that he would be the next guy to step in there. But I think that the most shocking thing for me was that we've heard reliable sources throughout this entire saga, if you want to call it that, say repeatedly, he will sign, he will sign, he will sign. I thought he was going to sign as well. I literally thought that it was just a matter of time. But then we got more and more information as time went on. As Al said, then he got injured, and all of those kinds of things just happened to push this over the precipice. And then it dragged on way too long, and it put too much doubt in everyone's heads. And then we get more information about Jorge Antun just being a jerk and wanting more money out of the deal, but more for him. So yeah, it letting him walk honestly, from the business perspective, letting him walk for free is probably the worst part of all of this.
It's wild to think about. It's wild to think about Arriva Bene literally saying, this is your offer if you keep Antun as your agent. This is your offer without him. And it being a higher offer, like that's wild, man. And like, Dybala obviously, kept by Antun's side. And it was weird too, because Arriva Bene, it's refreshing to hear a guy literally, like, he's laying it all out there. He says everything in every interview. Only a couple times has it been a little much. Like, there was a couple times, like after they pulled the plug and he kind of came out and said, we're going separate ways from Dybala. I mean, he adds in the fact, and this is the part that blew me away. It's like, you still have 8-9 Serie A matches, crucial time of the season. You're still going for a Coppa Italia. You got one leg in the final. And he comes out and says, the second we brought in Vlahovic, Dybala is no longer the focal point of the project. Why do you need to throw that salt in the wound? Like, don't leave it alone.
He doesn't care.
Like, it's just like, he's so like, he's old school, man. Like, he is old school. He's ruthless, and we're seeing it. And that was just so much. I was like, holy man, give the guy a little bit of respect. Like, Dybala is still one of our top 10 scorers of all time. He's top 3 for foreigners. Put some respect on his name, for God's sakes, regardless if you're going to go a separate way. But Arriva Bene, man, to give an ultimatum to a player that this is your offer with this agent, this is your offer without, that's wild stuff. The stuff he was saying in interviews about players need to choose if they're here for the stripes or here for their agents. It was like, Holy Christ, man. Like this guy, he's going old school, but to another level. Like, because Juve used to be that club. They didn't care. They didn't care what your name was on the back of the kit. They would move on and on to the next one. But Arriva Bene is like on a whole nother level based off watching just this Dybala scenario. That's how I feel anyways. I don't know about Joe.
No. Oh, no, 100%. He's old school. He doesn't care. He is... I think that... He's honest, and that's what I like about him. Is he a little too honest? Maybe.
Yeah.
But, you got to take that for what it's worth. I think that he's trying to do what's best for the club. But part of me is just wondering, like if we had just gotten Dybala to sign, would we be at least a little bit better shape?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But I agree. It hurts either way because, he's a fan favorite. I think he genuinely liked being at the club.
Yeah.
So it also, we're in an age where you don't see players last nearly as long at one club anymore. Yeah. So it makes it more unique.
That power of the agent makes it easier.
I see him in either Italy or Spain. That's just where I see him, being. I want to ask you, and if he does come to you guys, how do you feel about it? Because I've seen some Inter fans saying stay away from Dybala. What's your personal opinion on Dybala?
My personal opinion is that I don't think we need Dybala. I don't think I really do want Dybala, but I'm also all about the drama while it lasts as well, man. Like, I just think it's so funny. Like, for me personally, I've never hated an Inter player more in my life than I hated Mauro Icardi. And for me, this would pull the full 180 swing of you guys wanting to sign Icardi at some point, Marotta not letting it happen, coming out 2 years ago and going, maybe we should talk about Dybala, and everyone just going, yeah, right. And here we are 2.5 years and a couple of pandemics later, and it's right here in full swing. So while the model of taking your rival's best players in the league, I would always prefer that than fishing overseas. I mean, it's a model that you guys use ridiculously well in an era where the league was weak. Why look abroad when you could take Pjanic from Roma when they're second fiddle to you? It doesn't matter about what it costs to get Higuain. Pay whatever you want. That just guaranteed as X amount of goals and X amount of league titles for the next few years. It's what Bayern Munich has done ruthlessly for decades. And if that is our move to make sure that you guys are going into the Mercato now needing to replace Dybala and someone to cover someone that you were going to get to cover moving out Dybala anyway, it's a move that favors us more. However, we need to also think about our monetary situation. We won a Scudetto, and the next day afterwards, we all had to pretty much go, all right, now let's realistically start looking about what's next. All right, ciao, Conte. See you later, Oriali. See you later, Rom. See you later, Ashraf. At least we've got number 19, right? Sort of right, sort of wrong. And this move for Dybala is not the direction that we should be going in. I think that we need to take a couple of names out that have got a big salary. One of Alexis Sanchez, one of Dzeko. It's probably going to be Sanchez. We are also going to get Arturo Vidal off the books, who is occupying a large chunk of wage space. I mean, just in between, get this, boys, in between Vidal, Sanchez, and Kolarov, that's about 13 million euros in wages. That's horrible, man. That's
Kolarov's still on the books, huh?
That's horrible, man. That's 13 million euros on these three players. All three of them need to leave in the offseason. And then you can talk about blowing, 15 million in 2 years on Dybala. The thing is with Dybala, he's going to want years, man. He's going to want 4 years, 5 years. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do it for 4 years for 7.5 million, I can get around it if the bonuses are incentive based above that. But is Dybala going to go to another Italian club for borderline the same offer that he's getting at Juve? That would be another kick in your guys' balls if he refuses an offer like 7.5 for you, and then comes to us for 7.
But he didn't get a final offer.
That's right. That you guys put it down
because when they had that last meeting, and Antoon thought he was going to see their last offer, Juve just sat across from the table and said there is no offer.
Wow,
we're done.
Yeah. We're done.
So it's like it's not even really necessarily a kick in the balls. It's like we're choosing this.
Yeah.
Like Juve has chosen to just brush him aside.
You're right. I guess I would be behind it, but there would be moments throughout his Inter career where you'd look at it and go, surely this move didn't need to be done to get a player like, Raspadori or Scamacca. I know they're not all lining up together, but we know what positions we need to fill in our side. Dybala coming in would be nice, but he's not a piece of the puzzle that we absolutely need. But I think a question like that really does all come down to whether or not you finish the season on a high note. If you win the Scudetto as Inter, you've probably got a little bit of backbone to go, we've just gone back to back. Even if this doesn't work out, we're not going to look retarded. But if you don't win the league this year and you go fishing for a Paulo Dybala and it doesn't work out, you look stupid. And for me personally, I think we'll be able to make that decision closer towards the end of the season. I also don't think Paulo and his agent are in any hurry to make a decision for their club, for their next club either. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Just before we go, because I just want to ask you guys this one other question, and we'll only take 1 minute, I promise, because I've kept you guys a while. Who do you want in the offseason, Berto? I know the 50 million for Zaniolo now is just not going to happen, man, because 2 cruciate ligaments. I love the guy, but I'm a realist. I studied sports science for 3.5 years at university. You can't drop 50 M's on that sort of stuff. You got to let him play for Roma one more season and then fish him for a free, which is what I think you will do. And I think he's already made that decision in his head to do that. And he will piss off Roma to go to you guys. That's not a problem. But in terms of you guys transitioning to this next season, knowing that you've lost Dybala and thinking, well, if we had Dybala, we still would have had to buy 1 or 2 other pieces. You lose him, you still got to bring more players in. Who needs to be addressed straight away, Berto? Who do you need to bring in for what position?
Man, there's so many question marks, so it's hard to answer. Like, are we going to, in fact, keep Morata? Like, are we actually going to talk down Atletico and keep him around? Regardless, up front, we need somebody versatile, dynamic that can help that attack. Like, I don't know. Gabriel Jesus is a name that's thrown out there, and I'd be lying to you if I said that wasn't intriguing. If we can get Gabriel Jesus that can play anywhere across the front 3, you've got Chiesa coming back probably October next season, hopefully sooner, but probably October. Oh man, come on. Are we serious about Jesus, Vlahovic, and Chiesa in a front 3? That'd be sick. But midfield, Juve has to bring in an attacking mid. I say, you go after this player's will. You do whatever you can. If SMS is even a slight possibility, Luis Alberto's been rumored out there. Different type of help in the midfield. But really, SMS should be like Juve should be doing everything in their power to get SMS. They really, really should. But up top, I know everybody's talking Raspadori around Juventus and all this, but he's not a true winger, and I see some issues in how we play. Like, I think this thing that we're seeing out of Juve right now, which is this 4-4-2 shifting into this 3-5-2 hybrid thing, which is hilarious that so many Juventini crucified Pirlo. Now this year, it's cool because Max is doing it. Whatever. It isn't cool. It's awful. But Raspadori doesn't really fit for me. So I kind of like that Gabriel Jesus idea, and he was linked with us last summer too. And Pep's got apparently a lot of names out there, and Gabriel Jesus might be one that's pushed to the side, and I'd jump on that too. To be honest, those are just kind of 2 guys for me for sure. But Gravenberch is another one. I just don't see him budging from where his path is going right now. Otherwise, I'd really love Gravenberch. Joel?
Joe, go for it.
First of all, 100% agree with you, Anthony. Like, finally someone said it about Zaniolo. Like, great player. Yeah, you can't hold those 2 ACLs against him, but I feel like this is pretty much his first real season at Roma. I just feel like he's never completed a full season. So yeah, he definitely needs another full season to kind of see where he's at. But I really don't know who we would get to replace Dybala. I mean, Gabriel Jesus was definitely the name. I 100% agree with that.
We should have went after Julian Alvarez when we had the chance.
We both should have done that.
He would be the guy, man.
Yeah,
he would be the guy. But since he's off the table, I didn't want to say it, but I have been. Now it just looks even worse because I would love him.
Joe and I were screaming for Alvarez for Juve there for a while, and the price was cheap. Everything was there. It's like, come on.
No Italian tax, no Serie A tax on that player. No way.
100% no. But yeah, I would have he would have been the perfect player to fit the kind of situation that we're in right now, to slot in where Dybala would be. He can play on the wing, he can play in the middle, he can cover all those bases. But I think that Gabriel Jesus would be also great. But the midfield has been the problem for seasons, legit season after season. So that needs to be the focus. We need a left back, especially hopefully if we get rid of Sandro this summer. So we have other issues to cover before we get to the Dybala role.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, that's all we're going to have time for today on Interworldwide. I'll go around the table. Berto, any last comments or questions, anything you want to say? And more importantly, what's coming up on your channel and platforms the next few days?
Oh, man. Well, we're gearing up. We're gearing up for this Derby d'Italia. And we're actually pretty pumped that we're having the first ever live watch party in Toronto. So we got a couple of team members that are based out of there, and they're going to take over Cafe Juventus in TO. And we've pretty much filled all the spaces we had. So it's going to be packed house. We got a ton of prizes given away. So we're pretty pumped on that. And the content just keeps rolling out. So I know, this channel Interworldwide, but if you guys ever want to see what's happening in our neck of the woods, and it's honest, we're not homers. We tell it how it is. And that's what we kind of pride ourselves on, is we keep it real. We don't just, drink the Kool-Aid from Juve there. So it is what it is, and we tell it how it is. But we just keep the content going. I got the news updates daily. And then, of course, we have post-match podcasts and everything. And I think for this one, maybe we have a little wager, Anthony. Maybe we put a little friendly wager on this.
Wagers. You love wagers, Al. You love wagers.
I like the way you think, Berto, man. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking maybe, if one of our teams pull it out, let's say Juve wins, maybe for a week, 7 days, you have to tweet something positive and nice about Juventus. One solid tweet each day for 7 days. And I'll do the same should we drop the match.
I could do 3. I could say 3 nice things in a row. 7 is a stretch. 7 is a stretch, man. I'll meet you less than halfway. 3 days? All right, you got yourself a deal, man.
3 days, you got yourself a deal.
My man, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on. And guys, definitely go over to the Alljuvecast. You're going to need news from the other rival fans, man. And all of the English-speaking cultural platforms, from us to the Milan and the Napoli boys and the Juve boys, everybody does a great job. We know that. So head over to Berto's platform, the Alljuvecast, where you'll catch himself, Joe, and all the fantastic other guests. Joe Cappuccino, where can everybody find you and your amazing opinions, man?
You can find me at Joe_Cappuccino_ on Twitter, and I'll be popping on the Alljuvecast here and there. We have a giant roster of really awesome people giving, like Al said, just their honest opinions. So be sure you tune in. You'll see me there.
Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for coming on. From all of us here at Interworldwide, obviously, Forza Inter. Ciao, ragazzi.